Without further ado, ICW.
Hello, my name is Carol Mythlow. I'm the Director of Indian Child Welfare. Up here you will see our mission statement. This is a part of our BIA 638 contract, where it states the Indian Child Welfare Program was designed to protect and maintain the integrity of Comanche families, to provide crisis intervention services, court intervention, and ongoing child welfare services. Now, these services include assessments, development of case plans, and services leading to the reunification of parent and child, and our permanency planning that could lead to adoption or other permanent placement for tribal children. Now, my program operates within 4 budgets: a BIA 638 contract, the Administration of Children and Families, Title 4B, Parts 1 and 2, and my Comanche Nation Gaming funds. What I'm going to do is give you a little bit of overview about ICWA, OICWA, and the Comanche Children's Code, and I think that's vital that everybody knows about these because I don't think people understand. Now, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978 was enacted by Congress to establish the minimum federal standards for state courts. Now, ICWA is what it's called, and it only applies in state courts. It does not apply to our tribal court. ICWA applies in voluntary and involuntary child custody proceedings as defined by 25 USC subsection 1903. And those placements are foster care placements, termination of parental rights, pre-adoptive placements, and adoptive placements. Now, ICWA does not apply to juvenile criminal proceedings or divorce proceedings. The Oklahoma Indian Child Welfare Act, which was enacted in 1982, under Title 10, 40.1, the purpose of OICWA is the clarification of state policies and procedures regarding the implementation of ICWA in state courts. And the policy of the state is to cooperate fully with Indian tribes in Oklahoma to ensure the intent and provisions of ICWA are enforced. Now, in February 2015, the BIA gave us some guidelines that the state courts are supposed to follow. And we had an issue with that because a lot of state courts were saying, well, those are just guidelines. It's not the law. So in March 2015, the BIA published proposed regulations of ICWA, and the BIA gave each tribe the opportunity to attend tribal consultation meetings. I attended a tribal consultation meeting in Tulsa with 2 members of the CBC and 1 of the attorneys from Crow and Dunleavy. So the federal final rule on ICWA was released June 2016. The regulations were not actually implemented until December 2016. So that's what we're working on. When we have to work with state courts, they have to follow the ICWA regulations. Okay. During 2016, the ICW department received and processed and responded to 435 ICWA notices from child welfare departments and state courts throughout the United States. Now, ICWA requires these entities to notice us by registered mail with the return receipt requested. We have come into issue with the District Attorney's Council of Oklahoma not wanting to follow this, because they're saying it's costing them too much money. But we're not going to tell anybody not to follow that law because it is a law. Okay? And as far as ICWA cases, they're not identical. There is a lot of issues in those cases, which I'm not allowed to discuss because of confidentiality. And it makes each case unique. And my staff that oversee these cases, we have a staffing every week on changes in these cases. We keep up with what the parents are doing and with what the state workers are working on trying to get these families reunified. So during 2016, our department transferred 2 ICWA cases to tribal court. The decision to transfer is based on the viability of the case and the resources that the tribe has available for the family. These cases are staffed with the children's court prosecutor, and a determination is made as to transfer. Transfer is a lengthy legal process and is not overnight. And I think a lot of the misconception there is that people think, well, my kid got picked up by the state. I need you to go over there and get that kid. Well, we can't do that because there's legal processes that we have to follow. So, and I know people are going to say, well, you only transfer 2 cases. What I didn't realize when I first took this job is that I was gung-ho and I was like, yeah, we're going to transfer these cases. And then the prosecutor sat me down and said, this is going to take a while. And I realized that. It took me 6 months to transfer 1 case and 3 months to transfer another. And what it is, you have to go before the judge, our judges, you have to go before the district court judges. And there are times that these parents can even object to the transfer. They don't want it transferred. So it's not like we're not trying. It's just, it's difficult sometimes. So ICW currently intervenes to monitor 24 Oklahoma State cases, which include 47 children. And there are currently 17 out-of-state cases, which include 34 children. In each of these cases, we are active participants in person or on teleconference with courts, with state child welfare workers, and families of the children. So when I talk about resources, as far as trying to transfer cases, my foster homes are vital resources. I only have 9 homes right now. 5 of them are kinship homes. 4 of them are people that came in and said, yeah, I want to foster. So one thing I want to ask my Comanche people, if you feel it in your heart and you want to do this and help these Indian children out and help me to try to transfer these cases, because in court I have to tell this judge where these kids are going. There has to be a home setting. So if anybody knows anybody that wants to be a foster parent, you can contact my office. And here I'm going to talk about the Comanche Indian Child Welfare Code. That came into play in 1982. It was repealed and replaced by the Comanche Children and Families Relations Code of 2008. This is the code that we follow in regards to child tribal welfare cases in Comanche Children's Court. So there's 2 different laws that we follow. We have to check and make sure ICWA is being followed in state courts. In our tribal courts, we have to look at what is in the best interest of the children. We have to abide by the codes. So whenever I say the codes, I always say the codes because I don't like to say the long word that they have for it. Currently, there are 14 ICW tribal cases, which include 27 children. Home visits to ICW custody children in foster homes are conducted at a minimum of 1 time a month. Home visits can be increased depending on the progress of the case, issues with behavior, and crisis intervention. ICW caseworkers and the director are on call 24 hours, 7 days a week. Foster parents and ICW custody children can contact us at any time if there are any concerns. And if there is an emergency, law enforcement has my cell number, which I have gotten calls in the middle of the night from law enforcement. The kids call me if they have an issue. Maybe something's not going their way. Next, I'm going to discuss my 2016 CNG funds that I expended. They were utilized for salaries, fringe, supplies, materials, shipping expense, travel training, drug screen costs, client services, and indirect cost expense. ICW assisted 55 families to include 137 children with CNG funds for utility and rental assistance, and that amount was $29,000. ICW assisted our ICW custody children, which throughout the year there were 31, and we have cases that open and close periodically. Shelter costs for October the 1st, 2015 through July 31st, 2016 was $43,920. Now, shelter costs are currently $30, and they're going to increase to $40 October the 1st of this year. We provide clothing for the children that are in our custody, and the activities fees. If we have any kids wanting to play sports, we purchase them shoes, we pay activities fees, art club, whatever they want to do. We pay all that, and we spent $14,590 on that. And Christmas gifts for the children in ICW custody, I spent $1,000. And the reason being is because we get the donations from Comanche Nation Games where they do that free play and everybody takes in toys and stuff to get free play. We get that. And then we have our Comanche angel tree that we have out here in the lobby. So I only used $1,000. And that's typically because the teenagers, you know, they don't enjoy the toys and stuff that we get. We have to supplement that with something else. And detention costs ordered by the court, if we have a kid that is ordered by the court to be a child in need of supervision, and they order that child to be placed in detention, law enforcement has a contract with Sac and Fox Nation at their detention center, and we do that. So my total cost on Comanche Children and Families was $91,610. And this is just a continuation about the activities that we participated in and we sponsored. The Easter egg hunt, the annual Cops and Kids picnic, the Christmas with the Cop, Child Abuse and Neglect Seminar for Child Abuse Awareness Month, which I'm working on to do that in April because that is Child Abuse Awareness Month. We sponsored the Moreau Indian Group Home Benefit and the OICWA Conference. Now, OICWA is the Oklahoma Indian Child Welfare Association, and we are members of that. We're also members of the National Indian Child Welfare Association. So we host meetings for the Southern Plains Child Protection Team, and we participate in that. And we also host meetings for the Oklahoma Indian Child Welfare Association, which is a quarterly meeting. And right now, I would say I'm probably the only one in Southwest Oklahoma that participates in OICWA of all the tribes in this area. We paid tribe membership dues to OICWA and NICWA. We spent $3,970 on our activities. Now, the drug screen costs for clients, when they're ordered to do a drug screening, costs money. A UA is typically around $65. A hair follicle runs you into hundreds of dollars. You know, and it just whatever depends on what the court orders. If they order a hair follicle, you know, people can't afford that, so we're there to help out with that. Training, I only spent $650 on training this past year, and that's because I used all my federal funds first before I used my C&G funds. And the salaries and fringe, there's 6 workers, including myself, 2 ICW case workers, 1 child advocate, 1 case aide, 1 administrative assistant, and myself. And the cost for that was $145,666. Our indirect cost was $42,018. My total C&G budget for 2016 was $292,000. And we spent $289,049. So we had $2,951 that we did not expend. My next slide, I don't know if you can read it, but it's my 2018 budget, which starts October 1. I have salaries and fringe on here. I have supplies and materials at $5,000, shipping expense at $1,000, travel and training at $5,000, and vehicle expense because we rent our vehicles through GSA. So we have a vehicle expense. And the consulting and contractual, I put that on here because there are times when we have scheduling conflicts with our own attorney, and we have an attorney by the name of Angel Smith. She's Cherokee, and she worked on the Baby Veronica case and also on the Lexi case out of California. So she knows some ICWA law, and she stands with us when we need it, when our own attorney is not able to be present. The drug screen, I put that in there at $1,500. Client services, that includes all my services for the kids that are in my custody. And then the indirect cost expense. So my budget for 2018 is going to be $317,000. That's an increase of $25,000. And I've increased it because the shelter costs are going to go up. So, but that's my justification for that. Does anybody have any questions? If it's just a permanency review hearing, it's a social worker. If it's something a legal matter that we need to have discussed with our prosecutor, she appears with us.
And that is in the absence of, you said our own attorney. Who is that?
Her name is Lisa Odapobi Herbert. She is our children's courts prosecutor. She is our attorney.
Okay. Now, I had another question. How many of the kids age out in the system?
This past year, we had 2.
What kind of services are they being afforded?
We go through the Oklahoma Independent Living Service. That's through the National Resource for Children and Youth Services. What they do is when they get to, well, now the age has changed to 14. When they get to the age of 14, we enroll them in this program for Oklahoma Independent Living. Okay? Once they achieve all that, they go through this process. They go to all these meetings. Once they age out, that program is able to assist them. Sometimes that can be purchasing them a car. It can be helping them find a place to live. It's just different things like that. It just depends on the need of the child at that time.
Do you follow them like years afterwards to find out if they've, had addiction issues or, if they aren't able to make it in society? Because I know there's a lot of kids in the state of Oklahoma alone that can't even graduate high school because when they age out, they're taken by whichever county that they were put into, and then they're put in some like a group home and assisted living area.
Well, what we notice that a lot of our kids go back to those homes where they originated, and that's their choice. They turn 18, they can pretty much do whatever they want. We encourage them to go to college. There's things out there for them. They attend all kinds of things through the schools. They have day out at OSU, OU, different colleges, whatever they're interested in.
So you don't keep track of them after they age out?
No, but some of them do call. Some of them do call, and we speak to them.
And I had another question because you commented about foster care. I am a foster care home, recognized tribal home. I did apply with your program 3 years ago, and my application sat there, and I never got a home assessment. So
Okay.
I'm wondering if,
What is your name?
Doris Parly.
Okay. I would have to go back and look. I've been the director for 2 years. So I would have to go back and look. You can reapply, though. You're welcome to reapply.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Mathalo, a question was given to me, and this was about 2 months ago. I didn't have an answer for them, and I can't impose what you know. When we deal with our child residency, youth service, CRIS, does your program, does it help the children stay over there, or what is after they get over there, what's your role once they're there?
Okay, our caseworker makes monthly visits. Here recently, she's been going every week. But we provide clothing if they need clothing. We do that twice a year. Sorry, we do that twice a year. If they have anything that they need to do, like I said, their activities fees or anything like that, we provide that. And CRIS is the one that usually lets us know that they're in need of something.
Also, people want to know, who do they bring, like if they have children that's out of the home, real nice clothes, barely used, where can they bring like items, clothes, to your location?
You can bring them to our office, and then we'll transport them to CRIS, because I know CRIS isn't just like anybody showing up at the door, so.
A lot of progressive tribes do have people that do make money. Do you have a donor type of application?
A donor type? No. I think that CRIS usually fills those out once we get the information and we transport the clothing down there. If they're, because sometimes we let them go through the clothing and see whether or not they can utilize it.
Well, let's say we have this anonymous millionaire. He wants to give you $10,000. What's that process?
Oh no, I've never had anybody do that.
Well, it's coming.
Great.
That would be great if it happens. I mean,
Great.
Talk is cheap, but that'd be great. So
Yeah.
hopefully you get some kind of process. Oh, give it to Jimmy? I'll let Jim.
I'd like to answer that if you don't mind. We have had donors, actually. Even our travel attorney had donated money to the youth shelter. So they bring it to administration, and then from there, you know, of course, the director of CRIS is notified, and they make the deposit, and then it's utilized for those children. So we do have donors that actually come here to the complex to, you know, try to help with the kids.
Hopefully you're watching live stream and you heard that. Okay, there's a question out there.
These children needing foster care or placement, how many are teenagers?
We have 6 right now.
6?
Mhm.
So the majority are less than the teen.
Yes, we don't have any babies, and a lot of people think, well, I'll go to ICW and be a foster parent because I want a baby. We usually don't get babies. They're usually like 3 and up.
Are there many in that age, like 3, 4, 5?
Now I have to think about how many there are. I would say there's 5.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
Thank you, Ms. Smythelo. That was in child welfare. Thank you, ma'am.